Good afternoon, everyone. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews, and I am your literary ambassador. And today I have Latrece Johnson on my channel today. Welcome, welcome, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Glad to see you.
How are you today?
I'm doing well, and thank you for having me today.
You're welcome. Now tell us all about you.
All about me. Well, my name is Latrece Johnson. I am a local author here. I say local in the state of Alabama, coming to you live from the Peninsula of Mobile, Alabama, a port city along the Gulf Coast of the United States. And I am a third grade teacher this year, mom to 3 sons, and I've been married for nearly 25 years. The books I write include science readers. I'm a big advocate of nature. Grew up in North Carolina, believe it or not, Queenie, not too far from Fort Bragg, just north of Fayetteville, and in the Anderson Creek community. And they're completely surrounded by nature. Growing up, we used to take family trips to Raven Rock, which is one of the state parks there in North Carolina. When I met my husband about 27 years ago, we came down to the Gulf Coast. This is where he's from, in Mobile, Alabama. And this place is, I think, number 4 in biodiversity in the nation. So time went on. I became an educator after having about 5 years in the nursing business. And about, I guess, maybe 3 years ago, we moved to this little area called the Peninsula of Mobile. And they were having art and paddle community day. And something within me just, encouraged me to write a book about the peninsula. And that was my actual first book, my first science reader right here, called What is a Peninsula? And I was able to write that book, and it just kind of took off from there.
Okay, let's talk about your books now. You can talk about your books and you can read a snippet from your book.
All right. Well, again, the first book I wrote was What is a Peninsula? And that's a word usually we don't hear much about, but for those in the educational community, round about the 2nd, 3rd grade, you start talking about landforms and maps and geography, ecosystems. So this book, What is a Peninsula? I said, that's a great word. Children love new words. It's a rather long word, but it's an interesting word. So I began to write. I researched about the peninsula here in Mobile, and it just reads like a basic science reader. What is a peninsula? Large type and print, because again, it's for preschoolers, 1st through 2nd, 3rd graders. And it gives a definition in the book. And it continues to go on by not only giving a definition in the book, but also defining it. Peninsulas are pieces of land surrounded by water on 3 sides. And this is an actual picture of our area down here, a place called Dolphin Island, part of the Gulf Coast ecosystem. Beautiful place to visit. And then it gives other names for what peninsulas could be, because we're always giving children that extended language opportunities to learn new words. Some people might call it a headland, capes, like in Cape Verde in Africa, islands, promontories, bills, things like that. Then we get real specific in the book about the Peninsula of Mobile. So here, if you can see, again, we are surrounded by those that body of land surrounded by water on 3 sides. And it shows you, we have here, there's a chevron plants. For those who don't know, we're a port city, so we have quite a few areas and industries. We have a lot of ships coming in and coming out, international waters. Again, the book continues on with other pictures, gives us the major highway. We call it a highway, but it's called the Dolphin Island, the Parkway, because it leads, again, our peninsula leads down to an actual island that was washed away, unfortunately. But they've rebuilt since then, since Katrina and all the other hurricanes that we've had to deal with down here. So that was the first book. And not only does it talk about what is a peninsula, at the end of the book, because like I said, I am a teacher, it's asked the children which ways do they enjoy life on the peninsula, because it talks about some of the animals we have down here, turtles, eagles, alligators, but you also go kayaking. at the local areas. We live about in walking distance, honestly, from my own home. We live within a quarter of a mile of a bayou. So we can actually take our kayak out there or paddleboard and just launch out. It's a really awesome opportunity to give any families, children, anybody to learn about the different flora and fauna that you have in your own backyard. Mm-hmm. So after that book, I determined to write another book because, again, we're near Dolphin Island, which has a sea lab. And most teachers down here, they usually take that as a field trip with their students at least one time a year. At the sea lab, you get all kinds of natural life, everything, sea creatures, all of that type of thing inside the sea lab. So one of those sea creatures we talked about is the lionfish. So again, this is a series of books. Start off with the question, what is a lionfish? Not many people know we have lionfish rodeos down here where people go out and fish the lionfish, but they are an invasive species. So that means they shouldn't be here. They're eating up, the fish that really need this area and call this area home. So it kind of throws the ecosystem off balance. But in order to, learn about those things, you can teach about those things. So again, what is a lionfish? Starts off with our basic question right there, large type in print, because again, these are for my elementary crowd. Inside this one, it says lionfish live in the waters near Pensacola, Florida. We're about an hour's drive from Pensacola. So we're able to go, and that's one of the places where they have those lionfish rodeos, huge community events. See, also it says, I give the names for lionfish. You may have seen them: zebrafish, butterfly cod, peacock fish. And it's that butterfly term is easy because if you look at that fish, it's got that big old, all those fins and the feathers and things. It looks like it could be a butterfly. So that's a good reference for children, even for grown-ups, because I encounter people that don't know what peninsula means or don't know what lionfish means and everything. So it talks about the fact that lionfish like to eat our native fish. Once again, this is an invasive species. It shouldn't be here. And so we have native fish like grouper and snapper. That's part of our diet here. So if we don't have that, and everybody's talking about how good fish is for us to eat, that's part of our ecosystem, part of our natural diet. So in this way, if that lionfish comes in, this taking away nutrients and benefits for us as human population. So it's necessary that we learn about these types of invasive species so that we can do something about that, to help our own selves. And after that one, I ended up writing a third book called What Are Dinoflagellates? And again, the Sea Lab is an opportunity for us to go down on Dolphin Island. We end up going down there. Dinoflagellates are those little bitty diatoms. I don't know if any of your listeners have ever gone fishing at night, something that I encourage anybody to do. But they get to see, you ever seen that glow in the water, Queenie? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That glow in the water is actually dinoflagellates. Some people call them diatoms, but again, with this book series, we're talking about the way we're writing. So what are dinoflagellates? That was the third book in the series. So there's our big question again. And it gives us a picture of those dinoflagellates. Some people call them noctiluna. Luna meaning they glow in the dark. So that's why it's best to see them at night. Or night shining sea sparkle. Again, that's what you see at night if you go night fishing. And they're just one-celled organisms. And you know that when we're teaching science, they begin with those one-celled organisms. Again, I'm in third grade this year, so we're getting ready. That's our next chapter. This morning I was on Zoom teaching my third graders, and the chapter that we're about to start is about cells and organs and tissues. So that'll be a good, I get an opportunity to share my material with my own class, as well as, like I said, with the community and everything. Wonderful pictures, because I do believe in pictures, again, with the dinoflagellates. It's important that you share visuals, especially if you're not able to go out, like I said, to the lab and be able to let children know and like again adults that tag along what's going on. And right now I have the fourth book in the series. It's called What Are Earthquakes? We don't get a lot of those in Alabama. However, in 2019 we did experience 9 earthquakes in the state of Alabama, and some may have been felt as far as Georgia. So that allows gives us an opportunity to talk about natural disasters. Right now we're all going through the pandemic, and so children, you know, they may have some fear about things, but using books, visuals, materials gives them an opportunity to talk about those things in safe spaces. When I use the Lionfish book, I actually have my Lionfish plush that I bring with them. I tell them, you can touch this lionfish, but if you go out in the waters, don't touch those lionfish because they have those spines on them. But it gives them a point of reference and an opportunity to experience what we're talking about in every opportunity in their senses. Because again, this is science. These are science readers, and science is all about our 5 senses, but we want to do it in a safe way. So, you know, that's what I wanted to share today about those.
Okay, you write children's book. Have you ever thought about writing in another genre?
Well, actually I have. I was thinking I had started, believe it or not, okay, this is a wonderful historical area. Maybe, I hope some of your listeners have heard about the Clotilde, which was the last slave ship to enter into America. Um, my father-in-law actually lives in that community. And again, like I said, I've been married 25 years, and I have my father, his father is buried in the historical slave cemetery for that particular community. It's called Africatown, USA. It is not far off of Interstate 10 when you travel down this way. So I started a book. It hasn't been completed yet, but it's in the genre of like a mystery fiction type book for middle schoolers, in which a group of children, they end up listening about the Clotilde. They find information about it. A local reporter ends up finding the remains of the and end up going underground, and they get to travel back in time a little bit, but they get to meet some of the descendants of the slave ship. But that's the book that I'm currently working on, and I hope and pray to have it out sometime later on this year.
Okay. How did you break into the publishing world?
For me, it started off with self-publishing. Like I said, I've been teaching quite a long time. I have always been a reader from a child. I used to read a lot of the Nancy Drew and Boxcar Children mysteries. So when I got older, I went to college as an adult learner. I started college like well before I became a mom, but then I had a break in my education, went back and earned my bachelor's degree. And when I went to get the bachelor's degree, I met a teacher at the college that my middle child now attends and is a junior here in Mobile. And she asked us one day in class, it was an actual business class, and she said, if you could do anything you wanted to do, what would you really want to do or be? And I said, you know what, I love teaching, but I think I would like to try my hand at writing. And so she gave us an opportunity to maybe interview somebody that we knew that was an author. Well, it just so happened during that time, that was about 2011, somewhere along in there, author Ravi Howard, who wrote a book called Like Trees Walking, prominent African American author. He does quite a few workshops. You look him up. He was living here in Mobile. His wife was doing an internship because she was becoming a doctor. So I got a chance to contact him, and he graciously agreed to meet me for this project that I was doing for college writing course. And we interviewed, sat down at one of the local Black businesses here that does a lot of with the books and reading. And I spoke with him, and from there I said I knew I had to bring out what I felt on the inside. And so I ended up self-publishing one little book, again, for children. It was an election that we held in my classroom. And I wrote it kind of for them, just for them to read about in class. But then my husband was like, that's kind of good, so why not, go ahead and maybe do a little bit more. So I was really excited and thankful to Ravi Howard for that opportunity, because he's an Emmy award-winning author. And then the college, when they heard my report and I presented it in class, they actually invited him to be an author in residence, and he did a actual presentation, like a night that they had for the community to come and listen to him read his book. So that's how it started for me.
How do you feel about reviews, whether they're good or bad?
Reviews are necessary. Again, sometimes you think something is good to you, it may not be good to the public at large, and you could just be writing for you. But I think a lot of authors, they actually want to write to share their ideas, to share what they know, or to share what they're feeling with other people. And just because it's amazing to me doesn't mean it's amazing to somebody else. Plus, it's important that you have someone to critique your work. And plus, there's other people out there that's been doing this way longer than you. So I think it's necessary that you build up, like a group, somebody that, people that are in that circle, in that genre, or in that particular atmosphere, that can help you grow your writing. Because that's what critiques really do. They help you grow your writing, as well as let you know, hey, that just didn't work.
What do you consider to be your best accomplishment thus far as a writer?
Let's see, as a writer, just actually people wanting to hear what I have to say. I think that that's impressive to me. I like to talk, but I also like to kind of back and work in the background. I like to be a helper more so than trying to share everything that I know. Mm-hmm. But that's, to me, is the biggest accomplishment, just knowing that people really do want to hear what you have to say.
Mm-hmm. What has been the toughest criticism given to you as an author?
I think try again. Like, I will have gone days and worked on a manuscript, and my husband, he'll look at something, he was like, you know what, did you think about this? Did you think that this couldn't really happen? Or even if it could happen, did you find an exit plan? That's been a really big one, because that's one of the reasons why this book with the children, the youth one and everything in middle school, has really eluded me. I started that one about 2 years ago, and he said, you didn't get an exit plan. You haven't completely thought about how you want this story to end. So I think that's been one of the toughest ones.
Okay. When did you first realize, when was the first time you realized you wanted to be an author?
All right. The first time I realized I wanted to be an author was probably sitting in that class, thinking in the classroom on the college level, because that question really made me think critically about, if you did become an author, because it had been like a passing kind of fleeting type thing in my mind, but if you really wanted to become an author, how would you go about doing that? And because that was an assignment, and I like to and I take education seriously, whether it's my own or other people's children, I really began to think about, if I became an author, how would I go about that? And what could I do to help myself really be serious about it?
What's the best way to market your books?
For me, it has been other teachers. It has been partnering with those in my community. Again, I said at the beginning, I was telling you about the Peninsula of Mobile. That is an actual 501c3 organization here in the state of Alabama. And their job is to encourage revitalization is the word that we use of the peninsula. This area, again, is historic. So there's been storms have come in, have ravaged, businesses have come in, people have moved in and out of the community. And so they're in a process right now to where they want to get it where it's more of a community atmosphere, while we also enjoy and involve the local landscape here. We have parks. Just about every park that you visit has a waterfront feature. And so it's necessary for me when I am out and about in the community to know who my community leaders are, and to know who lives in the community and who my neighbors are, as well as what the community may need. We are blessed that even though we're only a 5-mile span of road width-wise and 3 miles wide, we have 2 elementary schools, a middle school, and a high school. And we have a branch of our local community college, all of that right here on the peninsula. So I take those opportunities to know who the movers and shakers, if you will, are in this community.
What is your motivation to write?
Just learning. I love it. And science is everywhere. We are science. Knowing about my body, knowing about how, best to nurture the mind, because, being an educator as well, we're always talking about the brain and, learning and development. So that's what motivates me. Sometimes I ask myself, if Jesus was in my classroom as a child, how would I handle myself? I would want him to be the best kid, in the classroom. I would want to be a part of that, his learning. So that's what motivates me to write and to share what I know.
What has been the hardest thing about writing books?
Sometimes just getting away. There's a book in my head right now, Queenie, that I want to get out. A picture book, again, it's still for children. We had a member in our church pass last year, and wonderful, wonderful woman. She and her husband have been married for over 50 years, but we were at peace when she left because we knew she was ready. And so there's a book I want to bring as a way of honoring her, to me, her memory, because she was born in one of our local ecosystems, Bon Secure, Alabama, which means good church or good harbor or safe harbor. And that's kind of what she was. She was a safe harbor to so many of us, to where I want to put her in a book as maybe a preteen that went out and explored her area, what it must have been like for her to go out and explore with her best friend, brown pelican and sea turtle. I really want to bring that out, but it's kind of stuck in my head right now, and I'm not sure how to bring it out, but I'm hoping that it will soon be a book that comes to fruition.
Okay. What, if you could write or collaborate with an author, who would it be?
Ooh, wow, there's so many. I often think about we do the Scholastic reading program, that the little magazines that come, and I look at, when I see his name, what's his name? James Patterson. He's always having those type of contests. I've always thought maybe I could write with him. But then, like I said, I mentioned Robbie Howard. I thought about maybe doing a historical fiction with Robbie Howard, or, maybe even somebody current today, like when Will Smith wrote his book out, just the two of us, just about anyone, because I love music too. But if the famous people, yeah, those would probably be the top 3 famous people that I would like to maybe write a book with.
What do you do when you're not writing?
When I'm not writing, I'm teaching, and definitely spending a lot of time with my family. Like I said, I have 3 boys, and they have kept me busy. They continue to keep me busy even now. Again, I'm mom to a son that is autistic. He's 12 years old. We homeschool him, so that takes quite a bit of time. My husband does the bulk of that because I'm out in the community. But that's probably what I'll be doing. Something where I'm helping others or just spending time with my family.
And are you an avid reader?
I'm not as avid as I need to be lately with school, especially doing school at home. Now that we're all on COVID duty, if you will, I would like to read a little bit more than what I have read. I've got about, in any given time, Queenie, I have about 3 books that I'm kind of reading, because I'll go for maybe something that edify my spirit, so I'll be reading a spiritual book. But then I also like political thrillers, so I've got a book there that I'm kind of in. And then of course I like mysteries too, so I have may pick up a book like that. So that's what I do. So I have about 3 books going at any given time.
So what are you reading right now?
Right now, let's see. Believe it or not, I read Slumdog No More. That was a book about I think some of the prophets in the, again, spiritual book, about some of the leaders that have gone over into some of the countries overseas and have talked and spread the gospel with those that people have truly have kind of forgotten, what we call the forgotten people. So that's about what I'm reading right now. And it's very interesting to see these missionaries go out in the communities and everything and spread the gospel of Jesus Christ, of hope and love, when they barely have what they even need, just to exist here on the planet.
And what are you working on right now?
Right now, again, want to finish out this book, this middle school thriller mystery that I'm working on. And again, just want to put down some notes on this little girl, the little Bond Secure Betty. That's the character. That's her name. That's what I have, the working title right now. Bond Secure Betty and Brown Pelican.
And where did you get those characters from?
Again, Bond Secure Betty is from the lady at our church and everything. Her first name is Betty.
Okay.
And so I could just imagine her as a little girl out there, in the bayous. And the brown pelican part, as a friend, that's one of the species here in this area that could become endangered. In fact, it almost became extinct. And we just realized that there's a small island behind one of the elementary schools called Galliard Island, that they have found a species of brown pelican that has come back to the island. So that's where that came. We just want to talk about, it's Earth Day today, so happy Earth Day to everyone. So my books, I want to make sure that we're respecting the earth and that we're doing things that will help us, because the earth is here for us. It was created first, and so we're here as residents of the earth, so we should take care of it. And all these species that we've been given dominion over, we need to take care of them and learn what we can to do our part.
Okay, how can readers find you and your books?
Well, right now, again, I'm self-published, so most of my books are in the Amazon.com marketplace. You just type in my name, Latrece Johnson, and any of the titles: what is a peninsula, what are dinoflagellates, what is a lionfish, what are earthquakes, all of those will be in the Amazon marketplace. You can also find me at my Facebook social media page as author Latrece Johnson. Local Science by a Local Scientist. That is my handle on Facebook. In the spirit, it's actually at In the Spirit of Frizzle.
Is that coming from Miss Frizzle?
Of course. Look, we all were part of the Magic School Bus growing up. Yes. We all wanted to be on the Magic School Bus.
Yes. All right. If you have anything else you would like to add before we close?
I just want to, again, thank you for this opportunity. I want to let everyone know, if you're ever thinking about a wonderful nonprofit to support, you can do the Peninsula of Mobile. It is a 501c3 nonprofit. When you're purchasing my books on Amazon.com, why not purchase them and help the Peninsula of Mobile? Miss Debbie Foster is a wonderful community person in this area. One of my friends one of the first friends I learned and met here on the Peninsula when I moved this area. She's been a big help to getting me to spread my message about my books. So I definitely want to be a voice that encourages people to support the Peninsula of Mobile. Again, it is a nonprofit, so your dollars are being used wisely to help in conservation efforts here along the Gulf Coast, because everywhere we're learning right now through COVID, we're all connected. So whether you're spending your dollars here, or wherever you spend them, just know that we're all connected and that we are here to support one another.
Okay. Thank you for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you again for
And-
this opportunity. I'm glad to be sitting here in my own backyard. This is my own piece of the peninsula. So I was glad to be able to sit here.
Okay, do you want to share your book covers one more time, please?
I do. The first one that we have is What Are Dinoflagellates right here. It comes, the cover is right here. My name at the top, What Are Dinoflagellates. This is the first book I wrote, What is a Peninsula? It looks just like that. And I think the updated version Queenie has on the back of it, there's a blurb about me. So when you order that copy, you'll get the blurb. And then What is a Lionfish? Another one that'll have a blurb about me on the back of that one, the new updated covers.
All right. Thank you so much for coming in today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, and continued success with your blogging and interviewing and in the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you. This is Queenie Clem with Queenie's Book Talk and Reviews. Happy reading. Bye, y'all.